Oh, Satyen.
Oh, there we are.
There you are.
Thanks for waiting, love.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. I wanted my Zoom starts recording automatically, so I wanted to hop back on and pop back in real fast
Sounds good.
before you got back, so that we didn't have all that space in the beginning. So we met right at the perfect time. Ah, so great to see you,
You too.
as always.
Thank you so much for your enthusiastic sharing about accelerated evolution and Warrior Sage.
Oh yeah, my honor. Thank you for the magnificent work that you're doing in the world and all of the years that you spent grounding that into your own embodiment so that you can share it with other people. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I'm all ready for you.
Okay, awesome. So how these go is we flow. And so I'm just going to start by asking you what feels most present and alive for you right now. And we'll follow that stream.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Do you want me to talk now, or do you want to ask me, or you want me to, or was that your ask?
Oh, that was my ask. I was like, maybe he needs to feel into it for a minute. That's great.
Ask me again.
What is the most alive and present for you right now?
It's aligned, integral, visionary, and powerful leadership. And supporting those who are on the cutting edge and the forefront of making change for the betterment of the world, for the greater good. It's beyond a passion. I can't even say it's a passion. It's just a calling and a duty. It's where I'm being placed and where Spirit is placing me, is to be supportive of the leaders who are making big differences on the planet and are transitioning the planet from ego-based self-service to moving into we, and then moving into the greater good and the greater whole. So I feel it's not just me, it's you, it's us, it's many of us who are being called to the forefront of this mission. It's to enlighten business leaders. I really feel business leaders are the ones that have the most impact and power on the planet right now, far more than governments, far more than religious organizations. I feel really, business leaders really have the power through money, through their creativity, through their entrepreneurship to make the greatest good. And so I feel that it's so valuable right now to awaken the dormant capacities of our multidimensional nature and our heart, while at the same time cultivating our spine of action and our spine of solidity, our spine of integrity and clarity, combined with the expansiveness of heart and spirit, and bringing them all into alignment to really enact the most powerful actions which create the best results on the planet. So I'm really behind that right now, and that's what's calling me, and that's what I'm helping others dial up right now.
Oof. There's so much profundity in that. I feel the ocean of consciousness just there with you, backing you up, moving through you and into all of that. And before we even hopped on, I was tuning into your energy, and I kept just receiving just profuse uploads around accelerated evolution and arise together, and what all this is and what it means to you and what you see as the future of our planet. Where are we going? What is that North Star?
Absolutely. Well, my work with accelerated evolution, that's my team and our trainers. We're training, helping professionals. So I feel there's now the next level of breakthrough is happening and needs to happen in helping professionals. Millions and millions, billions of people need help. They need help tapping into their higher self. They need help embodying enlightenment so that it's a pragmatic expression of being on this planet, in life, in business, in family, in all relationships. So for me, accelerated evolution is a training and a methodology that how can I say, it empowers the helpers to be the best that they can be on the planet, to affect the greatest change in the shortest period of time. Because I also feel time, you know, we don't have like years ago where I could go to a therapist once a week for 3 months or 6 years or what. People don't have that. People are yearning for, and the world is yearning for, a rapid form of transformation. So rapid and deep form, not just superficial, but depth. So that's something that I'm very keen on in supporting, is bringing depth into people's lives and into helpers' lives, and to help them come into their next level of enlightenment and vibration and clarity and power, so they're able to make the impact. You asked about the Arise Together mission. That's a series of communities. We're opening up Warrior Sage dojo communities, dojos, where people can come together instead of what do you call it? A Facebook. It's face to face, like really to touch each other, to feel each other, to be in human contact and commune with each other. And to me, I feel that the three foundational forces that need shoring up as society are sex, power, and money. You know, the ancient yogis have been saying for thousands of years, these are the areas where we have the greatest weakness. When we take on more energy, you know, an aneurysm pops when there's more energy going through or blood flow going through. But if there's a weakness in the wall somewhere, that's where the aneurysm blows through, using that bodily metaphor. But it's the same true energetically with sex, power, and money. As we gain more influence, as we gain more prana, especially many of us who are doing inner work, our prana, our kundalini, our psychic energies, our spiritual energies are becoming magnified. And I also believe that the whole time of the world, the planet we're on right now, the spin, the resonance, the Schumann resonance, all these things are happening. So we're at the brink of greater and greater and wider and faster evolution in consciousness. There's a great quickening that's going on. So with this mission that I have with Warrior Sage Arise Together, it's to bring together the warrior sages, the ones who have the backbone to make actions in the world, and also have the wisdom and the heart to come from the deepest, highest transcendent place, and then come together to support each other and arise together in achieving these aims, which of really awakened relationship. I feel the aim of awakened relationship, awakened finances. So it's not just more, but there's wisdom with earning, saving, spending, and wisdom. There's wisdom with relating. How do we relate with seniors? How do we relate with children? How do we relate with our comrades? How do we relate with our society in a way that's integral? As you know, and how do we relate sexually? Right now, you know, there's so much gurus falling left, right, and center because of impropriety around sexual energy. Very few people have an understanding of how to deal with it, especially as your power and influence grows. So that to me is very valuable piece that needs to be understood.
That piece is huge. And I know for me in my own journey, I've been celibate for almost 3 years now, about 2.5 to 3 years, because of the sacredness and the power and the creativity of that energy, of that force field, and how it supports me in serving my purpose and my mission. And it has to be pristine. Yeah. Whew. And so I won't even, you know, if it's not source, if it's not me experiencing the purity of another source through my own vessel, then I'm happy and overjoyed with the connection that I already have. Although I know that that's possible, and I'm aligning with that, but the degree of purity. So let's talk about integrity. Let's talk about what that really means and what it requires of us to embody so much cosmic life force and power, and to have a fusion of wisdom, power, and love all harmonized and synthesized together.
You've hit it right on the nail, right on the nail. I'm going to explain it from a yogic angle, not well explained. You can't find this really so much in books and such, but coming from my personal understanding and from my mentors, here's what happens. Right now, especially those involved in the spiritual dimension and human potential world, we are doing so many things to excite our prana, our life force. And our life force is excited and invigorated through proper eating, purification, eating better, removing ourselves from the morass of all types of news and stuff that's grabbing our emotional units of attention. When we start to release that, the power comes back to us. Also, so many practices: meditation, drumming, singing, bringing in frequencies of sound, opening to higher frequencies of energetics, which you're a master of and bring forth. All of these, there's about a dozen things that we can be doing to stimulate the prana, breath work, energy work, martial arts, personal disciplines, scriptural reading, self-study, self-inquiry. Who am I? What is the nature of self? All of these things combined. And nowadays, people are doing many of these. They're going to workshop, to seminar, to different teachers, guides. So what that means is there's an acceleration of this energy. When the prana is stimulated long enough and sustained long enough, what happens is it builds, and prana is the life-sustaining force. But when it builds to a certain degree with all these stimulating practices, what then happens is the kundalini starts to come out of her slumber. And kundalini, from a yogic standpoint, is the evolutionary power of the cosmos, of eternity. So whenever we're going through strong evolutionary periods of fast evolution, strong evolution. So for example, when the zygote and the sperm meet, and the sperm enters the zygote and then becomes, like the cell becomes alive, and then proliferation happens at an extremely fast pace. That's kundalini, fast evolutionary periods. That slows down. It has to slow down a little. And then when the birth happens, it happens again after the birth, where there's a great growth spurt, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. That slows down again through time. And then we hit another burst of it during puberty, where physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, our thoughts, what we thought of yesterday, our music tastes 2 weeks ago is not cool anymore. We're just constantly, those moments when there's an increase in evolutionary life force, and it's like you've lost jobs, or new jobs are starting, new relationships are starting. This is a sign that the kundalini is active. Mm-hmm. That means that the energy of life force and wisdom is coursing, moving, shining, moving all the way through. Now here's the problem. Here's the challenge with this. As this life force and this awakening force of evolution comes through, great insight is there. Mm-hmm. So gurus, teachers, guides, they can go, wow, I see this with such clarity. You see this with such clarity. You see that, and you can help people dial in. You can help them with great wisdoms and great seeing. The challenge is also with that great seeing is a rise in the impurities, because the impurities want to come up and be purified. And they show up as antagonistic dualities. I'm worthy, I'm not worthy. I want to be celibate, I want to have lots of sex. I want to be in a committed relationship, I don't want to be in a committed relationship. I want to be alone and to myself and private and in my own spiritual practice, or I need to step out and be in front of many and touch the crowds and touch more people. How do you, I feel like having burgers and coffee and junk food and all of this, and then I also have at the same time the desire to eat well and aliveness and fresh foods and good stuff for me. So whenever there's an increase in antagonistic opposites within our being, it means that Kundalini wants to blow away your old ideas of what is the norm, boxes. And the danger with that is if you're not integral with it, you're not taking into account the relationships. I can't just be in an open, crazy relationship, have sex with whatever I want. I can't just take my money and spend it on. I have a family, I have friends, I've got responsibilities. So as the ascending energy happens, integrity is the power that holds us down. Truthfulness. And integrity is truthfulness.
I just want to allow people to take that in for a minute. Integrity is the power that holds us down. It holds us to the earth. It keeps us rooted and anchored to the light grids on this planet. It is essential for us to embody our power. That is profound. Thank you.
When this energy is coming up and we want to evolve, this is especially us as seers and helpers and guides and people involved in spiritual awakening. We have to be humble enough to know that our seeing is beautiful, but also be humble enough to know that it's not 100% pure, and allow yourself to take time to continue to purify as you're seeing, as your energy, as your magnification of power grows. Always, my teacher said to me years ago, Satyen, it's better to be humble all the time than to be humiliated all at once. And the way to stay humble is to be honest and true and real. And pragmatically, what does that look like? If you've got arisings around sexuality and power, get together with friends, mentors, guides, loved ones, and tell them this is what's going on. Share them your shadow. Share with them your shames. Sharing what you're shy about, what you feel awkward about, what you don't feel masterful about. Get the support, and not just of friends, but peers who can see you, who love you for who you are, but will not hold back their discerning reflection of where you're at. I think that's so valuable right now to develop and cultivate.
Well, so let me ask you this question, and it's piercing. It's a piercing question. What would you define as truth? What is truth? What is the clarity of that mirror? What is the diamond of the self? And how do we align to that perception so that our perceptions are true, so that our mirror is clear, and that we are seeing from the most pure place?
Truth means many things to many people, right? For many times, truth means a belief system. This is how the universe is. This is the ruler of our universe. This is this god or that goddess, or this is how it runs. To me, that's not truth. Those are worldviews and paradigms. Worldviews and paradigms, always changing, always evolving, always maturing. What we believed 10 years ago, hopefully, if we're growing, is not the same, that we've evolved beyond what we did 10, 20 years ago, right? Even 5 years ago, even 5 weeks ago. If we're really on the track of evolving, then we should be evolving our viewpoints and such. But for me, truth is just being honest and real and being in clarity of agreements. So as an example, if I, make sure your business agreements are all absolutely impeccably clear. Making sure that the foundational stuff, the descending line, where's my finances? Where's my earning? Where's my savings at? Where's my spending? Where's my investing at? Getting real on it. And those of us who are more ascending in nature will probably want to avoid that, not bring crystal clarity or dial that up as readily or as powerfully as someone who's naturally descending. But it's valuable to do so, because then you could be in truth with what's your reality. So first step of truth is being honest with what's there. Where's my money at? Where's my relationships at? Where's the relationships are at with my mom, my dad, my siblings, my family members, my colleagues, my friends? What's the truth of it? Not where I want it to be, not the tension or drag that I'm keeping around from perhaps charge from the past. Where is it now? What's the reality? Where's the reality of my body? What's the truth of my body? What's true and what's not? Asking yourself, what do I really like? What do I really want? What am I doing with this? What's true? So, and also with our faith, how do I really feel about my connection to the cosmos, to the universe, to God, to Goddess, to the truth? And how honest am I with myself? Is there any part that I'm not wanting to look at out of avoidance? Is there any part of me is there anything on any topic matter that I'm avoiding that I know I shouldn't be avoiding? That's the way to look at truth. And when I mean truth, I'm talking the foundational meaning of being honest and shoring yourself up and getting impeccable wherever you're not impeccable, wherever I'm not impeccable. Let me get myself back to impeccability.
So would you say that the reality is the indicator of how impeccable and aligned to a truth or a version of truth that is accessible to us.
Yeah.
And then looking at that gives us the opportunity to then enact the changes that we know we desire to make to create that clarity in those areas.
Exactly. And you know, another really great way to find that out is get together with people like you, people who can see and love you unconditionally, and then also say, this is where I see your strengths are, your power, your clarity, and this is where I see perhaps as a shadow or areas you're not looking, and to take that in with humility and go, okay, I'm going to look at that. Especially if a few people are saying something of the same line or pointing to a particular something that needs to be looked at. Truthfulness to me, empowered truth, means not pushing it away, not deflecting, but absorbing. You know, my martial art teacher, he says, don't brace when the strike is coming in or truth is coming in. He says, embrace.
Yeah.
Don't brace, embrace.
Or even
great liberator. Truth is the great liberator.
And it's so fascinating when you say that, instead of bracing, embrace. And then for me, there's also a level of transparency too, where we can just start to have a higher cognitive or just even a super conscious pattern recognition and see where the pattern is originating, within, without, you know, how is it coming in? How is it reproducing?
Absolutely.
And so I love how you spoke to, and this is extraordinarily valuable right now with coaches, with leaders, with trainers, with guides, with way showers, with all of us, because of the way that these codes are coming in and accelerating the evolution of our species, our planet, our systems, the systems on our planet, the ascending and the descending. Now, what I see and what I feel is the center point, the fusion, the equilibrium. Your new website is stunning, by the way. Thank you for having the vision for that. That center point of equilibrium, is that where the ascending and the descending meet? Is that mastery? Is that what you would consider?
Yes. Yeah. It's union with the truth of who I am. Union with the truth of who we are. And then the full expression of that is our totality. And for me, it's a rising energy going into the higher and higher and higher dimensions, accessing those higher dimensional viewpoints and energetics to infuse our temporal reality. And at the same time, loving our temporal reality, not seeing it as a reflection or something less than the higher vibrational so-called dimensions, but seeing it as vibrationally valuable and important and juicy and delicious and divine. So the transpersonal and the personal, the esoteric and the exoteric. For me, equilibrium means embracing all of it as one and not seeing this as higher or seeing that as higher. Those spiritual people, they're all wacko. No, those money-oriented, everyday working people, they're not the same level. All of those contrastings, all of those comparisons fall away when you're in the center and you're able to embrace the totality of being and the totality of other beingnesses.
There's so many things that would come through. Power, the point of true power, the point of true union. And one of the energies that has supported me with finding that union and that center and ground within my own self is the energy of beauty, is being able to, I love the recognition there. That was so sweet. It just merges. It just marries all the opposites and all the worlds into one whole that is in accord with itself. And really, that's a very pristine, potent, activated portal of magic.
Yes.
Okay, so let's feel into this. There's another thing that was coming through there that I wanted to ask. So the vision that I was getting, I would like to share with you, because I imagine that you have experienced this somewhere along your journey, is the cosmic tree of life. So as my Liquid Nirvana course was downloaded to me, which is the 13 dimensions of flow mastery, which are essentially infinite, but these are the main core points that I was guided through in my energy systems, physical and non-physical, that connect into the core of Gaia and expand all the way out into the infinite dance, the infinite cosmos. And that's that tree. And I could see my roots literally connecting into the electromagnetic light grids of the earth. And I was shown these are your roots, beyond your sovereign self, beyond your personal self. These are your real roots. And then I started to blossom into that tree, which is profound, as you were speaking to, holding that much energy and power. And I literally would go through phases of, you feel yourself expand, you feel all of your systems and your organs rearranging and growing and calibrating and synthesizing this light and this power, and having that integrity there is so important, so that you don't just get whisked into the wave of whatever's happening in the collective.
Absolutely. I'm smiling here because as you shared that, it was just this morning where a couple of my colleagues, mentees, Helen and Keith Tong, they created they're opening they're rebranding their company, and the logo came out and they showed it to me, and it was the Tree of Life. And they shared with our whole group, what do you think of this logo? And it was beautiful. So you bringing this up is another confirmation to me that the Tree of Life is alive.
Oof.
The Tree of Life is more than alive ever now. It's not dying.
Mm-hmm.
And that the Tree of Life is now becoming even a stronger beacon. Mm-hmm. And is calling us to be part of the forest of awakening, to be part of this garden of life, and to see ourselves as part of the garden of life, not as takers, not just as contributors, but fellows and beings and loved ones in the tree, in this whole forest and dimension of life. So I'm getting that really strongly right now. And I feel that we all just really allow ourselves to tap in and feel that we are the roots, we are the trunk, we are the branches. And that our calling, our heart's yearning, our true heart's yearning is the same life force that's going through all the trees of life right now.
Ah, yes. And we're all being pulled and called forward. And yeah, I love your honesty and with the very first question around what was alive for you. And you were talking about your service and how it feels like more of a duty in a lot of ways. And I would love to speak to that for a moment, because I experienced this exactly like you do. And that duty, that mothering, that birthing process for the planet, for the larger whole, has become something that is now filling me with passion and motivation and inspiration, because of the depth of meaning and significance that it has, and my capacity and capability to bring that forward in the way that I'm called to. But if I were to let that go and all the layers and dynamics and dimensions of that and say, well, what does just Solara want to do? Yes. Those would be very contrasting worlds. However, I think that when I let go and I move into this fully, when I let go of it needing to be a duty and I let it to be something that fills me with pleasure and enjoyment, I find that it's exactly in alignment with what Solara wants.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the things that as a young man motivated me for much of my life was the seeking of significance and reputation. Right? Significance. I want to be significant. I want to be seen as significant. I want to be appreciated. And like many of us, we didn't get enough praise or enlightened acknowledgement as children. And so unconsciously, we continue to keep seeking acknowledgement, praise, having people see us for who we are and see our real skills, so that we feel more significant in the world. It's part of our human nature, the seeking and the creating of significance and meaning. And if we're not feeling meaningful and significant ourselves, then there's a contraction. that happens, and we feel stifled in the offering of our gifts, or even finding our gifts. But here's the paradox that I've been really dropping into myself, and I've been sharing with my circles, and that I'm sharing here today. I've discovered this paradoxical truth that the very seeking of significance, even if it's attached to an altruistic outcome, like better for the world, has a balancing force. It returns and in some way topples me from achieving what I really want. So rather than seeking significance and building my reputation now, what I do is I go out of my way to build the significance and the reputation of others.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
The rescinding of the desire for that to arise and to be seen in me creates 10, 100,000 times more power by my energy turning it around and saying, I shall be in honor to support your significance. I shall be in honor to support the rising of you in the world and your power and your gifts. And by conscripting myself to that in body, mind, and deed, the paradox is I become more significant without even caring. It doesn't even, you don't even try.
Yeah.
Because it's like a lover, it's like dating when you're too desperate, you really want to be seen as somebody or whatever, right? Unconsciously there can be a repelling force on the excess trying. But when the excess trying is rescinded and the energy is not how can I get, but how can I uplift? How can I raise? How can I edify you in the world's view? That to me is a constant practice. It's not a one-time, wow, I'm there. It's a way of life. So I'm going to invite all of us to take on that energy whenever you find yourself trying to build your significance. What's my brand? What's my thing? What's my offering? How can I make myself seen as someone who has knowledge, insight, wisdom, power, whatever? Know that is antithesis to an enlightened power, the seeking of significance. And in fact, it'll throw a wrench in the more you focus on that. You'll have to use more and more and more willpower and more thrusting power to be appreciated, which some will appreciate, the debutantes, the new ones, by your hyper energy, but you can't keep that up. It's not sustainable. But what is sustainable is love in the form of serving others, as it always boils down to, and raising others' significance. So I really wanted to drop that one in for all of us and to remind myself of this at the same time.
Yeah, let me feel into the different dynamics of this for a moment. Well, one, the reversal of the energy is quite profound, and I believe that any of us who are leading in any capacity eventually have that reversal of energy, of the outpouring that allows us to then be filled. And this is one of the concepts that I have discovered about flow, is to direct the energy into an outward praise of the environment, of the situation, of the people. And by virtue of that, I am filled with that which I would attempt to seek in some other way. And I also find that in order for me to do that at my highest and best capacity in all moments, I also need to pour that praise into myself in my own space, in my own activations, and my own meditations, so that I can deeply, richly embody it and know it well and resonate it well. And so there's a necessity for both of those elements in my experience. And I think that the desire for significance and what it has been for me has been validation, because my standards for my own self are so high. So when you cultivate a certain worldview with that, and well, is everybody else expecting this of me too? And so how can I continue to perform and give my best and be at my highest capacity and potential always? And that has led to that inward coming of really, just as infinite as we go out, it's also infinitely in, and has called me to draw that level of love into my own self and to release the need release the need for validation, and to find the fulfillment in knowing that I could give that to myself and experience that between me and my source, and me and my creation, and me and my reality in all moments. And then when you realize that you can do this for yourself, everything becomes fulfilling, I think. I mean, creating in our businesses, working with our clients, offering our services and our gifts, just enjoying life on a moment-to-moment basis becomes so much more fulfilling, because you know that you are the creator and that you have the power within you, and you trust yourself to, in all moments, in all situations, pour praise into your experience.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So do you want to go multidimensional? I mean, well, clearly you've been quite multidimensional, but
Let's go for
it. So something that I have been shown as somebody who works I work with a lot of star seeds, God seeds, people who are awakening to these multidimensional technologies and higher giftings. And I know you work in these realms too. And it's a hyper-conscious, hyper-accelerated space to be. It's those Kundalini awakenings on repeat. I remember when I went through mine, and I'll just give this as an example for anyone who's watching who may be experiencing this. And you supported me during the time when that was initiated. And so thank you for that. Oh, such a grace. Oh, such a grace. And when that energy started to uncoil up my spine, it felt like glass. And I had an energy worker working with me with really precision crystals is what I will call them. They were very highly specialized crystals with such a powerful, sharp point to get in there and help to move that energy through my spine, because it was becoming hard and it needed to become fluid. So it was literally crystallizing and hardening. And I had all of my circuits cleared out. It was a very powerful thermogenic process that was happening, a really deep, intense cleansing for weeks on end. It was just continuous revelations and insights. And like you said, those polarities came up because as I was having these higher awakenings, I was also experiencing the deepest depths of that in sitting in the murky waters with all of the shadows, with all of the underworld, and allowing them to merge with me, to go there. And then, that space of meaninglessness where nothing has, and going through all those dimensions. And once that initial Kundalini cleansing and awakening happened, and that energy was fully liberated and allowed to breathe and move and blossom and expand, I started to experience what I would call quantum calibration. So what might be an initial Kundalini on repeat. And so there are a lot of people who are experiencing that now. I've got people coming to me who are shifting jobs rapidly. I've been in the business community for a very long time, and I'm starting to speak and write in light language now, and I'm just being guided to now take this mission on, and to give these codes to the planet. Can you help me to shift? And where I feel we're really needed is a lot of people are going to be waking up to these gifts and these capacities, and need solid, integral leaders to support them, to love them, to guide them through it, and to bring understanding to it, and to cultivate those containers where they can grow powerfully. And the reason that I created the 13 dimensions, or it was given to me to create, is to merge all of those dimensions together. Because if we're just up in here and we're not here, then the physical aspects of our lives, our relationships, our service, our finances all start to suffer, because we're not grounding it in through that strong action, that embodied, the golden spine that holds us up. And then if we're too down here in this realm and we're not connected into the spiritual, we're missing what you're speaking to, which is that art of praise and love and pouring into another and experiencing true, deep, rich, connected intimacy with life. And that's where that sense of meaning and fulfillment and true joy, just illuminated joy. And so it's very important for all of those dimensions of our beingness to coalesce.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're sharing this, because you are a font of this multidimensional wisdom, and you are I feel a very true and integral leader and guide and supporter in this, and way shower. And yes, more and more of this quickening is happening. So if the quickening has started with you,
Mm.
Embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
Own it. Embrace that you are going through a quickening process, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and then invite your higher forces, invite the divine, invite your higher guides to be there consciously, invite them to be there in support of this evolutionary journey. And then when you're drawn and pulled to those who can guide you and support you, then trust that soul and mind unity and act on it. I believe the soul and mind unity right now to be sensitive to the comfort of our soul and the comfort of our mind when they come together around decisions, around something we're contemplating. If we're contemplating some action, some offering, some choice in life, and the mind says, yeah, that's great, brilliant idea. If there's a lack of soul comfort, don't go. Wait. It could be the other way around where the soul says, there's a comfort here, but the mind is not quite aligned. The details aren't there. You're missing pieces. The mind is not happy. Still don't go forward is what I've discovered. But it's when the mind and the soul come into a unified wholeness of feeling relaxed and feeling good and feeling comfortable. To me, that's the indicator now to really follow. Not just here, but the combined indicators in a whole way. And I believe that's the major lesson right now for the ascending and descending energetics within us, to listen for the soul-mind unity. And then once we have that, have the willingness to have truly what we really want for ourselves and society. And the willingness to act and follow through in short, concise, powerful ways daily. Not doing a spurt for 3 days and then nothing for 3 weeks, but daily, boom, like railroad track, one step in front of the other. I feel if we do this, and all of us can do this as guides, healers, helpers, awakeners on this planet, this is the mastery now. Not trying to get here super fast. Because that's all coming to us. We don't need to go up. It's coming to us. Grace is pouring down upon us. We step like this and open, and it's going to show us the way.
Absolutely. And I think a fascinating thing, and I would love to speak to this more, is my experience of acceleration is that space of home, of that oneness and that wholeness. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're frenetic. It's that space of creating that vacuum where we are whole and we are complete unto ourselves as the self, and we're feeling that, we're resonating those powerful frequencies, those warm, rich, radiant, golden frequencies, and we're at home within our own self. And what you're speaking to here is, it's how we build our health, it's how we build our legacy, it's how we build a new earth together, is by creating a dynamic and invigorating, life-giving balance in our lives, and honoring and watering all the different areas and dimensions of our life on a regular basis. And that really creates that sense of fullness too.
Absolutely. In what you were just sharing, with the circles that we're sharing with right now, one of the other things that I've tuned into is the lowering of importance. The thing is that when we've got missions and insights and awakenings and clarities, accompanying that tends to be, not always, but many times, is a vehemency of expression. We got to get, this is important. The world needs this. And again, although the insight, the awakening, the purpose, the cause, the goal might be beautiful and altruistic and aligned, the part that shoots us in the foot unconsciously is attributing excessive importance to the very thing which seems like the most important thing in the world. And what I've realized is once I start dialing down the importance and going more into silent power around it, not having to express to the world everything about it, not sharing with everyone but cultivating, building a pressure cooker inside of yourself where you're speaking less, you're cultivating silent power, more and more silent power, where you make your word law in the small things. You say less and less. You allow these frequencies to move you, to expand in you, but you don't talk about it all the time. Obviously, if you're in social media or you've got some access and you've got people that you're serving and teaching, yes, in those ways, but in your own inner dimension, as we cultivate now, lowering of the importance of the very thing that we think is the most important thing, but then do the actions that are required of that insight, then we'll be able to achieve what that outcome is, that arising with fullness, with sustainability, with joy, with easefulness, and we'll be able to attain it in non-linear ways.
Yeah.
The more importance we put on it, the more we think A will lead to B, will lead to C, will lead to D. The lower you put importance on your very mission and vision, the more you'll make non-linear jumps to the attainment of that. You don't even know how. This person up, you had a goal of teaching 1,000 people, and you built out all your ideas on how to do that, and then you lower the importance on it, and 2 months later, someone says, I've got 1,000 students, would you mind teaching them? Without you having to build it. That's what I mean by a non-linear jump in entering the existential reality in which the goal is already accomplished. So it goes from manifestation and letting go of the philosophy of manifestation and moving more into the philosophy of it's all the universe. There's infinite universes, and the ones which have the congruency of my soul and mind's yearnings is already there. It's already there. So rather than manifesting, I need to learn to slip into taking the path of least resistance into that infinite reality, that universe, which has that all already in complete perfection. I believe that that's a truth. It's not a philosophy for me. Actual entering any universe of choice. I feel that's where we are in, especially in the conscious worlds. We're moving beyond manifestation into universal entering the universes of choice.
That's gorgeous. I'm thankful that you brought this up, because this is something that comes through creation, manifestation. These are all common words that we use, but I know if you've gone through an esoteric initiation of any kind, you recognize that it's just a transformation of energy or an alchemy of energy that's always occurring, and we can phase realities into our current reality, and we can also leap, align, follow that stream into a completely brand new reality. And it happens like that. It's so fast. And the ease in which that can happen, and that's why I speak to free energy a lot, because one of the ways that I look at it, instead of lowering the importance and allowing the energy to be free, because if I can go into the visionary frequential space of that creation, and I can richly embody it, and then take those nonlinear steps as I am compelled and moved to do so, all the other stuff is being taken care of, and things line up in a way that is beyond, my plan is not as exponential as, as the universe's plan is. And so I love to allow that to happen. And it's just this dance. It's this dance moving in and out of different realities and timelines. And so even when I use the word creation, I think we're in the eternal moment, and so it's which dimension, which timeline, which globe or sphere of experience do I want to leap into or enjoy next? And how do I align myself with that so that they can become one? So beautiful. Yeah, so thank you for bringing awareness to that. I love that. I love, have a real nice, juicy, meaty conversation about creation, just from the more esoteric perspective of what we're doing and how we're selecting and how easy it can be and how powerful it is when those alignments occur. Because we don't have to hustle. We don't have to run towards it. The acceleration is in the silence, truly. And I know for myself, I spend so much time in silence. And if I try to take a linear step that my mind wants to take and I'm not meant to, I feel too much friction or resistance in my own being to even make that movement. And so that is something that is the more attuned I become to my own accord. The more in accord I become, the more powerfully I can feel when I'm not in accord. And so if I'm trying to take a step that I shouldn't take, or if I'm even listening to things or having too much stimulation, my being just lets me know, hey, let's go empty.
I feel the more we value beingness and give time for our being to be in being, the more powerful is our doing when it's time to do, when it's time to act. Mahatma Gandhi, when he would, in the midst of social chaos, millions and millions of people's lives and whole destiny of a country, and a lot of this pressure on him because of his love for the country, he was able, and he made a vow that I will take one day a week and to be in this solitude to recalibrate with source and to come back to the touch and the flavor and the pulse of source, so that in the doing that he needs to do, and talks and lectures and service and whatever needed to happen, that it would be sourced in this well, this infinite well. And listening to his words, they come sourced from that infinite well of being. In this day and age, being is not valued so much. It's constantly doing. We look at ours. Are we doing enough? Is there more to do? There will be never not enough to do. Constantly doing. But I've come to a place now where I find for myself pragmatically, whenever I have any of my CEOs that I coach and we come here for a retreat and I check them out of everyday reality, sometimes they're nervous to come because they have so many responsibilities that they leave behind. I said, no, you got to get your ass here. This is part of the commitment. But. And when they make it here, all those buts go away in a day or two. Without them working on it, other people and other universal coordinations happen, which handle those things. And it surprises them because they're putting the value of beingness more and more higher on their needs. They're realizing that you can't have yang without lots of yin, and that yang without the yin is only going to be self-destructive.
And will draw you back into the yin. Oh man, that's power. That I want to speak to and this is where the magic really comes in, when you realize that it's safe and enjoyable to go into that space of beingness, of being at one with nature, your nature, how everything automatically and naturally orchestrates itself for you. And I know you experience this all the time, where you'll think, well, wow, I would sure love for this to be accomplished, or I would love for this thing to happen, and I'm going to prioritize it now and put it, and then someone shows up and does it, and you're like, well, that's great. And it's just those simple things, and it's such an exquisite gift, and there's so much joy in that for me, recognizing the ease and graciousness which this journey can be for us. And if I find myself, because of whatever, there's moments when I'm compelled to be, as is right now, I'm very compelled to be embodied in my fire element. I'm like very rich fire and earth and all of that, and to really give momentum and velocity to this energy, and to do it in a way that is solid and grounded, and that still enables me to soar and fly and have fun and be the eternal child that is within myself, and to inspire that in other people, to take those weights off, and so that there can be less resistance, and more of what we want to experience can flow in, and there can be lightness around the journey of expansion and all of that, and which enables so much deep healing for people too. And where is that stream going? Well, I'm just going to go where it's going now, which is into the space of motherhood. And when my high heart really started to open up wide, and I was more children were being drawn into my experience, my nieces, my nephews, all of this, and it's just such a delight. And I feel like that energy, the version of ourselves that we are when we're interacting with children and with animals, obviously it's still from that strong space of integrity and love, but from that tonality, to me that's what a high vibration is. To me that's what a high frequency is operating from the space of the high heart, and just reminding everyone you're home. And here we go back to the point, is that whenever we start to feel that energy of urgency, to remember that we are in the eternal now, and that we have the capacity for immortality in this lifetime. We come back into that joy, that happiness, and enter into our businesses, our services, our creations, our relationships from a space of passion and creativity and enjoyment. The whole thing can feel like fun. It can feel like pleasure, and oh yeah, I get to create this today, instead of I have to create this to receive significance or validation or to fix something that's broken. But I can just embody the frequency of this, allow it to pour through what I'm here to give, and let that be the activating force. And those who are meant to come in from that will. And they always do. And I don't have to even think about that aspect of it. It's just so natural. You give of your high heart, and everything.
I love that. You give of your high heart. I'm going to remember that. I love that, what you just shared there, of your high heart. So beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Takes out all the resistance, allows that free energy to flow, and everything can be pure. You don't even think about the things that and this is part of the huge shift in money, in business, and leadership, is that we don't have to worry about getting anything at all. We don't even really have to worry about attracting anything. It's just about, can we give from that space and what that resonance is for us, and allow that to be our gift and our activation. And we'll always line up with, our client avatar, the person who is resonating to our own frequency. And so instead of even looking at those things, we can start looking at, and this is just one of the ways I've been guided to present this in service, is, well, who is my high source? And am I connecting into the high source of everybody? That's my avatar.
Exactly. One of my mentors, he was a hilarious teacher, Stuart Wilde, God bless him. He's passed on now. But he had this saying, he says, raise your vibration, and when people show up, bill them.
That's a good lesson too. I had to learn that lesson because I was doing so much for free.
Right?
Yeah.
So one of the things he taught me is when you're offering into the universal law, through your service, through your love, through your hands, through what you give, and when you're working on yourself, like we're doing now, we're speaking about our own transformation, our own evolution, conscious spiritual divine beings with choice. As we focus and we make that valuable for our own sake, for its own sake, not for the getting of anything, but evolution for its own joy and its own sake. And however we do our practices and methods and teachings, whatever that is, the vibration will raise. And then you'll become more of a beacon, more and more and more and more, stronger beacon. Then what's going to happen? People are going to want to show up. They're going to want that energy. They don't want your knowledge. They don't want your insight. They want the energy at the end of the day of what you're transmitting. And when they do, give them a way to offer energy to you. Because if you don't, it's coming to you. If that energy is not continuously shared, then it shuts off. So that's why he would humorously say, raise your vibration, and when they show up, bill them. And what he meant by bill them was give them an opportunity to make good of the attraction of why they're attracted. Give them a service. Give them an offering, a product, whatever you do, but do it with incredible impeccability from your high heart, and let the rest be in the hands of the divine. And then whatever you charge handsomely enough so that your lifestyle, your joy, your personal time, your personal practice is not coming from constriction, but coming from self-love in the form of foundational security around your finances, so that you're able to experience the life experiences that you want, because that's the only purpose of money in my books, is to purchase life experiences. There's millions of life experiences you can have without money, and millions you can with money. So if you're going to make money, know what the experiences you wish to have in life, and be happily to receive that as you're doing the inner work to grow yourself, to become a master guide, supporter, helper of others. It's quite simple.
Yeah, that's exquisite. You know, I heard somebody say recently that their perception of mastery is the capacity to help somebody else feel their own divinity. And that's it. Yeah, both of us. That's it. That's the
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
We could just drive it all to that point. And in order for that to happen, we must first feel our own divinity. And I think that's where true humility comes from, when we actually authentically feel our own divinity. And then also, you know, there's moments where I'm called to do things and stretch and grow and express in new ways and all of this. And are you sure? How do you know what I'm asking? Are you sure? Yeah. Yeah, we need you to be out there. We need you to express this. We need you to give it. And so I follow through with that and just let it go. Let it fly. I let it fly and do what it's meant to do. And trust that. And yeah, money is such a fascinating topic to me. And sexuality, money, and power. I'd love to have another conversation at some point in time around those three core concepts, because they're so intimately woven together. And truly, you know, the when we're entering into these spaces of infinite soul embodiment, those are the main forces that are at play in that space. And yeah, there's something fun that I love to do, even in the dimension of money. And I'm such a great caregiver of everything I have. I have such a deep respect and relationship. You know, my whole reality is alive, and you know, I'm continuously conversating with life. But you know, I think about the importance or the significance that we even place on things like that. And I think, what if in our minds or in our mental space? So one of the spaces I go to shift these paradigms is in the mind. What if it could be, what if it could resonate at a cup of coffee? What if it could be delicious and fun and nice little pick-me-up and a morning ritual? And what if it could be that? What if that, and so shifting the relationship that we have to these things can create profound shifts that allow us to enjoy and experience it with more ease and graciousness, and not have so much fear or contraction, or even, you know, just become this inflated, beautiful inflated being, you know. I still have to honor it because it's serving, but you know, all these different ways that we experience that, can we allow it to be, can we allow it to be a joy? Can we allow it to be a dimension of source of ourself, and to have a lovely, beautiful, optimistic, healthful relationship with it?
We're blessed.
Oh, so very. And you know, the interesting thing is that we're not going to even be able to get in those ways anymore, because the energy and the paradigms are shifting so rapidly. It's all going to have to come from a space of established internal bounty. So we're going to need to learn that, to feel our bounty and our abundance and our wealth. And I call it, what I like the word wealth, and I like the word opulence, because it has some density to it, to weigh it in and to ground it in. When we start to feel that, we just become these magnets.
Yes. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Opulence, an opulent life.
Yes.
Multidimensionally opulent life.
Oh. So, you know, my feminine is just, it's the lushness. It's the true lushness, the tropical lush fields and forests of abundance that I see when I connect into what that energy is for me. And yes, it's the money, and yes, it's the material things, but it's just the feeling of lush aliveness, and having the frequencies of vitality and life force and illumination, just illuminate me, health and all of that, you know, that the earth provides. You know, when I connect into true abundance, I'm feeling the earth, I'm feeling the power and the majesty of all of the elements. And then that translates into, well, how can I help others fill with this too? And then create abundance, and so on and so forth.
You're awesome. I love you, Solara. You're an angel for humanity.
Oh, I love you too, Satyen, so much, and for your power and your ferocity and your commitment and your devotion and your embrace, and for grounding powerfully, anchoring these frequencies into the earth, really bringing them in and allowing them to saturate and absorb, like you were speaking to earlier, and just whoosh, such a gift. And I'm so excited to play together. My heart every time I get to that giddy space.
It's going to be awesome. There's a group of really dialed in, high vibing leaders coming. So you're going to be in really good company.
Oh, I'm very excited. Yes, I feel it and I'm ready. And I'm just thrilled to see what comes through that container for all of us in the space of activation, the portals that we open together.
Absolutely, love.
Well, such an honor to have you on tonight. Thank you so much for contributing your time and your energy and your presence and your breadth of wisdom. One of the things that I've always admired about you, just your range and your scope and the spectrum of your beingness. And could have a million more conversations like this in different dimensions. Mm-hmm.
May all beings drink from this well of unreasonable happiness. May all beings know love, truth, compassion. May all beings be kept by and for each other.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm.
To the Great One.
Mm-hmm.
To the Great Oneness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
It's pure light. Well, deep honor and celebration of you, and I will connect with you soon. I'm sure we'll connect before, and I know we're going to have a marvelous time there. I very much look forward to experiencing your training in person, and yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All my love and embrace. And let's make it all happen. What's here.
Yeah.
Bless you, love.
Yes, you too. All right. I will speak with you soon.
And to all of you who are listening, all my love.
Yes. Thank you guys always for joining us, for listening, for receiving, and calibrating. Love you guys all so much. And yeah, we'll connect in with our community soon. All right. Good night, Satyen.